East Londoners are the last ones to celebrate the Rugby World Cup champions. The final leg of the Springboks Webb Ellis Cup tour is taking place in the city, and fans are out in their numbers to see their favourite Springbok players. We have eNCA reporter Ronald Masinda on the ground speaking to us on this story. Ronald, good afternoon again. Of course, we're edging closer to the formalities where we'll see the political principals also addressing the crowd, but give us a sense of where we are in this tour at this stage. Ronald, I can hear you. So just give us a sense of what's happening as we build up to the grand finale, as it were, in the city centre later on. All right, so if you've missed it, of course you wouldn't have, but we are at the final leg of the Rugby World Cup tour where the Springboks were received with warm hearts, open arms in Mdantsane and around East London as they make their final tour around the communities whom largely they are born of. It supported them, and it's really a privilege also to just be able to go back and be amongst your peers and community members. Ronald Masinda, just let us know what's going on at the moment.
All right, good afternoon, Cindy. Well, we are about to wrap up this, what has been an epic trophy tour here in East London. Earlier on, we were in Mdantsane, where we saw thousands and thousands of people lining up the streets. We are slightly delayed, possibly. That is also due to the traffic congestion that we have seen throughout the course of the day. We've been broadcasting since 6 o'clock this morning, and I can tell you, even from the time that we started broadcasting, we saw lots of Springbok supporters outside of the team's hotel in East London. I've got two guests with me, two women who know rugby very well in this area. I'm going to start off with you, Sisi. Sabulela Klashako, thank you so much for your time. And I guess as a former Boks player in the women's team, this must bring you a lot of pride and joy.
Yes, it is. I'm so happy to be here. Most of all, I'm having opportunity to be here in this bus because we know the joy of the players and we were supporting the Boks. Yes.
In terms of what you have observed, let's talk about women's rugby in general. A few years ago, we know that the team struggled a bit, and of course, a lot was said about women's rugby not getting the backing as the men do. How is women's rugby looking at the moment?
It's getting better because we've got lots of sponsors, lots of opportunities, because I'm working in the development side. So we've got sponsors. We are there and we are getting there because we are moving forward. Because last time we didn't have any sponsors and we did struggle a bit because we didn't get opportunities to go to the gyms. We didn't get opportunities to go to where we want to go. So now we do have an opportunity to go where we want to go. A little bit we are getting there.
Very lastly, we know that border rugby has for a long time been very strong in terms of the women's game. Why is that the case? Because the men, one may argue, they are not as strong as the women.
I can't answer that because I'm a woman. We know that we are better and we know that we can do.
Okay. Sis Mosipo, let me bring you into the conversation, and we do apologize to the viewers if our shots are a bit shaky, but this is the nature of this tour. Our bus driver has also been trying to navigate around the crowds, people are lining in the streets. Sisi, thank you so much for your time. You also played 7s and 15s for the national women's team. How would you describe rugby in general in South Africa now that the Springboks have won their 4th World Cup title?
I think rugby currently, we have a winning culture. But with that being said, I don't think that the women has adapted to that culture yet. I feel that the world respect Springboks, but only on men's side. Maybe it's time that we also step up as women so that we'll be on par on the same level as men.
We know that in women's sports, one of the challenges has been the pay gap, where men predominantly earn much more than women in a lot of sports. In terms of the women's game, are the sponsors, are the people starting to take recognition looking into sort of investing more in the game?
I think South Africa in general, they always go with who is winning. So we've been battling and struggling thus far in our development and when we get to play. So I feel that as we start winning games, sponsors will barge in and be like part of us. So we just won Samoa now. I feel that there's a bit of recognition when it comes to women's rugby. So I think we're on the right track because sponsors are also coming a bit in, but I know that we'd love to have more sponsors. We'd love to have more contracted players and we'd love to make like a living as a career when it comes to rugby as well.
All right. Very lastly, Uzizikoto, the sports minister, he will also be addressing the crowd later on outside of the City Hall. What would you like to hear from him?
Recognition for women's rugby as well, more games. For instance, this year we had like lots of games. So if we could have a program that is running right through, them having lots of international games, because we can only better ourselves when we're playing against these big teams and stronger teams and getting more game time. But if you're having 1 test matches or 2 test matches a year, we can't really check how far we are when it comes to our preparations. So if you can get more games and sponsors investing in us and us trying to win games for our country, and yes, maybe better payment as well.
All right, Siswam, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. Well, the festivities continue here in East London, Sisindi.
And Ronald, yes, and the pertinent issues, of course, are coming up now in terms of a more concerted emphasis on ploughing resources in rugby development. It has been going on, but I think primarily it's also about the parity, gender parity, and when it comes to salaries, as you've touched on, Ronald. But we'll touch base with you, I think, closer to the time when the political principals will be having the official closure of the grand finale of the Springbok Rugby World Cup tour, and we'll come back to you at that time. That's Ronald Masinda, eNCA reporter.